If you have heard of Alex Hormozi, you've probably also heard of his wife, Laila. She is the CEO in every company that Alex owns and is basically the person who actually runs the shop.
Dropshipping. Dropshipping is just not a great opportunity compared to a lot of others.
Now, let me start out with this. I love her management and hiring advice. She is amazing at that. And I definitely took so many notes while listening to her and applied tons of things super successfully, which she said. However, recently she has made a video series specifically about dropshipping. And there, I disagree. So let's take a look at what she has to say.
Dropshipping as a method of delivering goods has increased. However, dropshipping as a vehicle to make money, the returns have decreased. Basically what happens is high demand, low barrier to entry. People come in, they start competing on price. They're selling the same pillow, nightstand, shower cap, whatever it is, online on these platforms. And so they really just start to be a race to the bottom. And that's what's continued to happen in dropshipping. You could just throw up any old ad out there, like a picture of some hot chick, and you could get people to buy makeup. Advertising itself, like the cost of eyeballs has gone up, and what viewers will click on, the quality has also increased.
All right, so this is actually a very interesting take. Dropshipping has a high demand, so a lot of people want to start doing it, and also it has a low barrier to entry, which technically actually might be true. However, what also happens? Exactly what she described. Tons of other problems join in and start hitting you while you start doing dropshipping, and you realize, wait, it's actually not as easy as I thought. And the churn rate is insanely high. There's so many people who start dropshipping and just quit after a few weeks of doing it because they understand how difficult it is. So it might have a low barrier to entry, but it doesn't have a low barrier to stay in consistently profitable. On that part, I definitely agree with her. It 100% got more difficult, and that is the reason why the barrier to entry isn't low anymore. A couple of months ago, I was actually talking about exactly that with one of my 7-figure students, and what he had to say is super on point.
The more difficult I find dropshipping is, the more relieved I am and relaxed I am from inside, because I always tell myself, if dropshipping is easy, why is not everyone doing dropshipping? Mm-hmm. Why there are only a few persons who are doing great with dropshipping when it's easy? But when I find this problem, I know that many people will not just pass it, will not just pass this problem, will stop. So much people will stop.
Dropshipping. I want to break down pros and cons that I see. The pros is it's fairly low capital investment, which also leads to being low risk because you're not the one holding the inventory. It's also fairly easy to understand, and you can pretty much work from anywhere and do a dropshipping model. Cons are the profit margin on dropshipping is fairly low. You're basically beholden to the suppliers because you're not the one holding the inventory. And so supply chain issues, the errors that they make basically are put upon you, and that's the impression that you're making to the marketplace, and it's not much that you can do about it. And there's limited customization because you're not the one sourcing, you're not the one creating things. So all in all, most people that start off dropshipping, beginners typically make anywhere between like $1,000 and $5,000 a month, which is not bad, but it's continuing to get harder and harder out there to differentiate yourself. And I think that what we're going to see in the next couple quarters is it's going to contract.
Yeah, so very first of all, let's address the biggest criticism of dropshipping overall, and it's definitely the profit margins. Because basically it's assumed that dropshippers have margins between 15 and 30%. So that's round about the margins which everybody expects. To be fair, that is true in a lot of the cases, and if you actually are doing paid ads, that's definitely the case. Obviously, we also have the organic route now, and this argument falls out the window completely if we talk about this. Because with organic, you're gonna see anywhere between 40 and 70, or in some cases even 80% margins on dropshipping stores. Because literally there's only product cost, no ad spend, no nothing, just pay for the product and send it out for more. Now, the other thing she said is actually very true. For example, the supplier issues and the issues with customization, I agree with that. Suppliers can be a mess, and I have lost insane amounts of money because of mistakes which the supplier did. Now, obviously, that is my mistake because I chose the wrong supplier and I trusted him too much. However, if you just start dropshipping, it is very difficult to determine who to trust and who's actually legit. For us, it took years until we found perfect suppliers, which we now also connect to people in our program. And by the way, if you actually build a good relationship with the suppliers, they become better and better. Okay, especially because you just become a high-paying client, they take you more serious, and they actually become even better. Now, the customization part, which is also very difficult, and I also agree with Laila here, is not that big of a problem as it seems on paper. On paper, it actually seems like a big deal. In reality, if you do have connections to a good supplier, they can change a lot of things up about the product. That's number one. everyone. And number two is in the product selection. If you select a product which actually fits all the criteria and is a high quality product, you don't even really have to do that. If you want to brand things and basically put your logo on the product and stuff like that, sure, you can do that with good suppliers, but there's no real need to optimize the product itself if we already select one which is really good.
You have to have an entire team creating creative and continuously creating it, because you used to be able to also run the same ad for months at a time on these platforms. Now you've got to be doing multiple ads a day, refreshing ads every week.
Yeah, so this one is very, very true. First of all, to scale a product in the long run, I'm talking about having like one product run for like 6 to 12 months, you 100% need to test a lot of creatives, especially if you're doing TikTok or Facebook ads. Now you need to understand, to run one ad for like around 1 to 3 months is definitely doable if you're running it on around 1 to 2.5K per day. So on that level, you're going to be able to get away with one really good creative, which is going to run for that time period. However, if you extend that or scale too much, you will need to test an insane amount of creatives. I actually was talking about exactly this thing in the last case study we did here with Rasmus, who literally tested like 160 creative in 1 month, but now is already doing 7K days. So to conclude all of this, I want you to understand that dropshipping is not an easy business model. It is difficult. Either you put in a lot of hours every single day into organic videos and basically learn the skill of going viral organic and then start to make a crazy amount of money with that, or you become really good at product research and creatives on Facebook and you basically scale that way. Now, both of those ways are taught in my program, and it's very important to note, it is difficult. This is not a get-rich-quick thing. It requires tons of work. But if you do it, you make a shit ton of money. It's as simple as that. So if you're interested, click the link below, sign up for a call with me. We're going to find out if it's a good fit. If yes, we're going to start. If no, then not.